Okay, apparently we are live. Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Hope you're all doing well. So before we begin, we are going to crack open a Red Bull. That's what we're on today. Hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're all keeping sane again during this lockdown. I want to thank everyone for participating in the last few episodes, and for participating in this one if you are. I do appreciate it. Oh, that is good. Love a Red Bull. So bad for you, but love it. How you doing, Sven? Nice to see you here. We'll just start getting ready. I should have really been ready already. Ready. Lots of ready. But I am not, so I do apologise. So, today we're going to be looking at affordable watches. The reason being, it seems like that is what most of you guys are buying currently, and I guess that makes a lot of sense considering the current global situation. Not everyone is going to be dropping multiple thousands on watches. No, you need Monster. I mean, yes, that would probably be a bit more efficient. It would be a bit more efficient. But as I was saying, a lot of people aren't spending multiple thousands right now, which is understandable considering the current situation. Of course, it's all relative, so spending £100 for someone right now, or even £50 or even £20 right now is a lot of money that they would not be spending on a watch. Whereas I am seeing a lot of you guys are definitely still buying, especially within that sort of sub £1,000 price range. So I thought for today's episode we'd take a look at a few of those watches. A couple that you see are part of my personal collection because I usually collect within that kind of price range myself. And then some of them will be watches that are for sale on the website, so we'll take a look at those as well. But yeah, let's get things loaded up. Okay, I am all ready. So usually what we do is we go through the watches, pick them up, talk about them and everything like that, and then if you guys and girls have any questions during the live stream, you know, feel free to ask them whilst we're doing this. Again, you'll have to forgive the audio quality and the video quality. Still working with what we have during lockdown, which is a webcam, which is being used for both audio and video, manually focusing, so again you'll have to forgive that. But yeah, hi Neville, how are you doing? I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm not too bad. I'm very well, which is always reassuring during a time like this, so again I cannot complain. A fairly good weekend, sat in the sun for most of it, doing work on the laptop, you know, planning stuff that's going to happen after the lockdown, whenever that may be, and things going forward, and also processing a few orders. So again, I want to thank those who purchased over the weekend, and just those who have you know, been in contact and liked the videos. Of course, you know, any form of anything like that is beneficial during this time, so I do appreciate it. But definitely a thank you to the people who purchased the watches. We sold the Orient and two Amigas, an Amiga Denison 1957 and a gold Amiga, so all of those watches sub £1,000, which again is why I'm doing this today. So we're going to be taking a look at a few. Again, as I said, a couple of these are part of the personal collection, so we'll get those out of the way. And quick wristwatch check. I am still enjoying my Seiko Turtle, Save the Ocean edition, nicknamed the Great White, I believe they're calling it. And the reason for that is it's got the fins on the dial. I think a lot of you guys are accustomed with this watch now because I've probably shown it every single stream. We do have the other Save the Ocean on the table here. This is the first Save the Ocean they did with the gradient blue dial, which goes from a very, very dark blue, almost black, up to a lighter blue. Really, really cool watch. Right now it's on the Uncle Seiko Beat of Rice bracelet. Not a lot of you guys like it on this this strap, because I did do a poll and almost everyone said absolutely not on that bracelet. But right now it's on it. I do quite like it. I understand not a lot of people do, but it's a cool looking watch nonetheless. I think Seiko Turtles are very, very classic, easy watches to suggest under £1,000. I suggest them to anyone who's looking for an affordable diver. Of course you have, you know, your Seiko SKXs and the other variants of Seiko. I just think the Turtle is the best, and that's my personal opinion. I love the Monster, but again, it's a very controversial watch with its design, hence the name Monster. Whereas the Turtle is a lot easier on the eyes, it's a lot easier to wear despite its big size. You know, I have a small wrist and it wears fine. Of course, it's a big watch, but it wears comfortably. and they're affordable. You know, we've got another turtle incoming, which I will show in one of the live streams when it arrives, probably this week, probably Friday to be Wednesday, sorry. So keep an eye out for that. It is another turtle. It is another special turtle. It's one I've been sort of asking about on Instagram, and it's one that will probably be for sale at some point. But with these turtles, these are all special editions that I own, not the standard turtles, and I just really like them. So I enjoy them in the meantime, and I do think they're going to go up in value slightly. Of course, nothing crazy. So Seiko turtles are always good options. In regards to vintage Zenith, you can get a lot of vintage Zeniths under £1,000, if not most of them, apart from, you know, the very collectible ones. How you doing, Enzo? How you doing, mate? Hope you're all keeping well. This is my personal Zenith Defy, which I haven't worn in quite a while, so we'll probably give that some wrist time at some point. I like the Beads of Rise bracelet, but I can't stand Jubilee. Really, that's interesting. I to be honest, I love all bracelets. I'm not particularly fussy. I like the way Jubilee looks, but again, it's all very dependent on the watch. I can see why a lot of people don't like the turtle on the Beads of Rice, because it's a bit more of a subtle bracelet on quite a large beefy watch. But talking about bracelets, the Zenith Defy has probably one of the nicest bracelets in a vintage watch. You know, just look at the way it plays with the lights, all the chamfered edges. This has never been polished, completely original, even down to the crystal, which yes has scratches and dings, but you know, it has never been touched, never been polished. So I'm trying to keep it that way. This is the black dial. I have a white dial being worked on, and potentially a blue dial in the lineup. Potentially, I'm not 100% sure on that yet. Still trying to negotiate a deal, but that would be interesting, having the black, blue, and white dial variants of the Zenith Defy, all 1970s, sort of mid 70s. Just a really cool watch, and again, these can be had under £1,000. They're getting more towards the closer end of £1,000, which is quite crazy to think, because I've owned this for, you know, over 3 years now, and obviously I've sold it a couple of times and bought it back. I do think these will be over £1,000 at some point. I think what you get, the build quality, the brand name, everything like that, I do see these being over £1,000. But whilst they're still under £1,000, I'd say they're a very good buy if you can find them. The whole Zenith Defy range, really, they've got quite a few different variants and different styles. However, this is my personal favourite. I'm not too keen personally on the more oval ones that they do, with the sort of slightly kind of integrated bracelet. I just prefer this, and again, that is personal preference. Another personal watch, which again are really great, most of their watches are under £1,000 apart from their tourbillon offer, is the Gekota. This one right here, chronograph, powered by a Mecha Quartz, Seiko Mecha Quartz, so it gives you that feeling of a mechanical watch. No seconds hand, which again helps with that fact, and also a snapback chronograph. Really cool watch, really great looking, nice strap pairing that they decided to put on it as well, and they make them in fairly limited batches, so I think for the price what you get, Gekota is a great option. This is a heavily domed sapphire crystal as well. You know, when I saw the photos, I didn't even read the specs because the price was £139 for this, so I just bought it, to be honest with you, not looking at the specs. But then when I got it, I realised this is actually a sapphire crystal. I thought in the photos it was acrylic, because that is some serious dome, and that's not very easy to do with sapphire, nor cheap. So when you consider that this watch on offer, obviously not the retail price, £139, and they only made 100 of them, I was like, well, that's a no-brainer in my opinion. The beautiful lugs. It's not a direct homage as such to a certain watch. It's sort of a amalgamation. I think that's a word. I might have just made it up. Who knows? Of all the sort of classic watches of the era, the Patek, you know, Langen's on. I think there's a couple of other inspirations in here, but it's just a really gorgeous watch. Really great design. I think for the price, you can't really go wrong. How you doing? Lights out low. I think that's Sway. How you doing, mate? You're letting the secret out about Zenith. I know. I keep telling everyone about Zenith, which is only making it more difficult for me, because I also love Zenith. I have this one in my collection. I might have another one or two that people don't know about, which I'm trying to keep secret. So I think they're really good options. What's another personal one on the table? I'm going to move this turtle somewhere. Put it there. There we go. Another personal one is my Hamilton Khaki Mechanical. What a brilliant watch. So I think retail these are £450. I might be wrong, but what you get for that is insane. You get an 80-hour power reserve manually wound movement, and the way they managed to do that. But be aware, by the way, there are 2 variants of this watch, and they're exactly the same, apart from one has the old 40-hour power reserve movement, and one has the 80-hour that you see here. How you doing, Longhurst? How you doing? And this one I've got is the 80-hour manually wound. The way they achieve that is reducing the beat rate, increasing the size of the barrel and the mainspring, and obviously a few other things. You can see my strap is starting to thread a little bit here. The reason being, I switch and swap straps fairly often, especially on this, so I think that's just where it's catching the sides as it goes on. I still highly recommend getting it on this strap. So there's 2 options, and I've got both. There's this khaki NATO strap with the leather, and then there's the all leather strap, which I have somewhere over here. Give me a second, I'll get it. And here is the leather that it comes on. So the leather strap is very nice looking, very well finished, you know, a nice colour to it. It's not got any stitching around the sides, and it is a really nice strap. However, I just think there are many better leather NATO options out there. So my recommendation, if you're going to buy this watch, is buy it on the green khaki, because there's not many NATO straps of this kind of quality with the leather as well and the contrast. Whereas the leather NATOs, there's a lot of options out there which are better than this. So always get it on this strap, in my opinion. Really cool watch, absolutely love it. Based on the old hacks, the Hamilton hack. Let me mute my phone, sorry guys, I thought I did. Otherwise that's going to be going off all stream. And really cool faux patina. Now, I'm not a fan of faux patina. I actually think it's just a cheap way to make a watch look old. However, on this, I can't deny it. I absolutely love it, and I think it's really fitting with the design and the style and the bead blasted finish to the case. I just think this watch overall, for the price, even at retail, even if you can't get a deal on the retail price, you're getting a shit ton load of watch, to be honest. It's just a hell of a watch. Yeah, you can't go wrong with it, and this is one I thoroughly enjoy. Again, as I said, it is starting to fray here. I'll singe it off or something, that should work, but not to worry. Cool watch, highly recommend. So my go-tos for under £1,000 whenever anyone asks, and if it's not stuff I've got for sale, always a Seiko Turtle, vintage, always Zenith, and more modern, non-diverse things, Hamilton and Tissot. I think the Tissot Visidate for a dressy watch, and Hamilton, I've owned both. I had the Visidate, which actually I traded for this Zenith, which was probably the best trade of my life. Also, you can see me, hello, in the reflection of the Zenith. Peter says, James, is your personal collection ever for sale? Ideally not, no. So my personal collection usually has come about through a sort of a point in my life. So for example, this was a birthday treat, so that will never ever be for sale. This I have sold twice, and I want to say it will never be for sale again, because I've sold and bought it back, and it's been with me. It was my first ever trade. It's probably my longest running watch that I've had. Obviously I've still got my first ever automatic, which was a Citizen, but I just absolutely love this Zenith. So I would like to say that will never be for sale. However, other watches, like the Turtles and things, right now they're not for sale. They probably will be at some point. The Gekota right now isn't for sale, but again, you know, if I ever just get bored and don't wear it, it might be for sale. And that's kind of how it goes really with the personal collection. So yeah. Hello Jonathan, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us, I hope you're well. Hey Kibble, John from Antique Watch here. Oh, hello. I didn't realise which one it was. Big fan of Hamilton's new stuff. Yes, definitely. For those of you that don't know John from Antique Watch, make sure you follow him on Instagram. I will show you how you spell it on screen. This is Antique Watch, right here. Give these guys a follow. They've got a store here in London, in Clerkenwell, and they've been there for about 47 years. Probably the oldest run family company still doing watches in the UK. So highly recommend. Alright, so we've kind of looked at the personal watches and the ones I'd suggest if we're not talking about ones for sale. But as we are here, let's go through a couple on the table that are for sale and just talk about them. Obviously, you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them over and I'm happy to answer. We'll go with a couple that I've not shown on the live streams yet. So I tried to bring a few new ones. let's talk about this one. It's quite an unusual one. So E.C. Anderson, that's what this one is. It's an E.C. Anderson North Sea. Let me get it in focus. Here we go. So I had never heard of this brand before this watch, and I was quite surprised really. So E.C. Anderson North Sea 2. There's a reason for the name which I can't remember, so you'll have to forgive me. But a really cool cushion case on a mesh bracelet. We'll talk a little bit about the specs as we go in. Let's take it off the cushion. Now, if I get in fairly close, you can see this watch has no seconds hand. It just has an hours and minutes hand. It's got a screw down crown, as you saw. Really well finished actually, all brushed with polished bezel and a little polished chamfer on the lugs, which again just draws your eyes more towards the case. A nice black dial with applied luminous markers, which again, as you can see, they're quite thick, which is quite cool, and a recessed date in the center. Now inside this watch is the Seiko NH05, which is a model that allows for this kind of complication. I'd never heard of that movement before this watch either, so really cool piece. Limited to 250 pieces, I believe, and again from a brand that I'd never heard of, and was quite surprised by the quality really. It's a really nice looking watch, very well built. You got a 41mm case size, you got a lug to lug of 48, that's from that tip to that tip. So again, very wearable, 12mm thick, so quite thin. It looks like a thick watch, but it isn't, it's just the way it slopes down. And you got 22mm lugs, and it comes on this mesh bracelet. So let me show it you on wrist to give you sort of a look of how it wears. My dad's in the stream. How are you doing? Hi Paul, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. It says nice looking piece. It is. It's one of those watches where it came across my desk, and usually with brands I've never heard of, I'll do some research first and sort of decide whether it's something I want to sell. But when I knew this watch was going to be under, you know, sort of the £500–600 price range, and I handled it, I didn't really care about the brand, to be honest with you. I just thought it was a really cool watch for the price and for someone who wants something a bit different. Of course, you've got that Panerai-esque case, but it's really well finished, really great design. It looks good. It's unusual, the fact that it's got a screw down crown with this kind of case design and that kind of, you know, dial and everything like that. It's not really a dive watch, but luminous plots. And just really cool. I think it looks very simple, not overly done, gives the complications you need, and the mesh bracelet is all brushed as well to match the case. Very well finished, cool looking piece. So there's one. That's a funky one. And again, it's under £500 that watch. So what you get for under £500 is pretty cool. The box is pretty impressive as well. I think I photographed it on the website if you're interested in seeing that. And I think a lot of micro brands do go. They either put all the money in the watch, or they do quite a nice box as well. Hi William, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Love mesh bracelets. Yeah, mesh bracelets are cool. I think they're quite underrated, but we are seeing them come back. So there's one I hadn't shown on the stream before. Let's go vintage now with another piece I haven't shown on the stream, and one that is a personal piece, but it is for sale. But I just think it's really cool. So let me move the hands. So for those of you that know me and know how this all began, it began with Japanese brands. It began with Seiko, Citizen and Orient. Orient was another brand where I first started. This is a cool watch because it's from 1971. It's an Orient 3-star. So for those of you that know the star system, it's quite a funny thing because you've got the Citizen, you've got the Orient 3-star, the Seiko 5 and the Citizen Eagle 7. So 3, 5 and 7. Now these were all Japanese brands, and they kind of worked together on a few things, and they were connected in different ways, but it was almost like these were their core ranges. So you had the Orient 3-star as Orient's core range back in the day, the Seiko 5, which is still one of Seiko's core ranges, and the Citizen Eagle 7, again one of Citizen's core ranges back in the day. So all three options are pretty interesting if you have all three together, because you can see the similarities and where the inspiration was taken and different things like this. So this is such a cool looking watch. You have almost you have an increased depth because of the chapter ring around the outside. The indices are thick and applied, as you can see. Let's get that nice and close. So is the logo. You've got day and date, which is really cool. And you've got the 3 stars applied there and a crosshair dial. So as far as dials go, when you just take it on what it is a really, really nice looking watch. Very well executed, very nice. Now it gets even better because you have a fluted bezel, which of course heavily inspired by, you know, Rolex of its day, but it has never been polished. Neither is the case, and you can see the sharp edges. Look how sharp that corner is. This watch has never been polished, hardly ever been worn, I would say, in its life, and it has a recessed crown, which again is signed. So you can see it there. You have a push button for the date, and it is a really cool watch. Now it gets even better. So when you take the head of the watch, it's a nice looking piece. It looks good. You get a lot for your money, again under £500. But then you have a look at the bracelet. So the bracelet has got the same fluted design, and I think they call it a fluted bracelet. Each individual link is separated as such, you can see, so it allows it to go around the wrist. There are a few imperfections on this bracelet. It has got a couple of dents and where it's a little bit slanted with wear, but it is an official Orient bracelet as well, as you can see. So you're getting quite a cool watch, especially when you consider it's from the 70s. Now most of the bracelets from the 70s, especially on Japanese watches, weren't that good. This one isn't bad at all, considering. It's definitely not, you know, with the likes of Omega or Rolex of the same era, but it's definitely good. Now we take a look at the case back. You can see it still features its original sticker right there in the Orient logo, the blue sticker. So again, what you get for your money on this piece is very, very cool. I'll show you on wrist. So the reason I like this, and it's a bit different to the Citizen Eagle 7s and the Seiko 5s of the same era, is this is 37.5mm case size. So it's kind of like a jumbo, because when you consider the Datejust of the same era, they were 36mm, same with the day dates. So you're getting a larger watch than those. Look of 46mm, so again it's longer. Lugs of 20mm and 13mm thick, so it wears like a beefy Datejust, more so like what Tudor offered in the jumbo day dates and the jumbo Datejust of 38mm, I believe they were. But you get it in an Orient for less than £500, which is pretty much new old stock. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So Japanese offer a hell of a lot of value for your money under £1,000. My dad says, love my Orients. Yeah, you've got quite a few of them. You've got a really interesting one, which I really liked, which John actually serviced, which was very kind of him, because he's not particularly keen on servicing the Japanese watches. Main reason, and John can jump in if I'm getting this wrong, but it's just the sourcing of parts, and also the parts were built to not as high a quality as a lot of the Japanese, as a lot of the Swiss alternatives. And that's why they were more affordable back in the day. So there's the Orient. That's a really cool one, which I hadn't shown on stream either. And another one, which I don't think I've shown on stream either yet, is the Loom Tech. So, Loom Tech, a really interesting brand. I think Kota's getting in the spot. Get out. Really interesting brand. So I've known Loom Tech for quite a few years. I had a Loom Tech M54 bronze. So obviously with a name like Loom Tech, their focus is on the loom, and it's one thing they do very, very well. They also do a lot of stuff with alternative materials. So they do a lot of bronze watches, titanium. They've got some very interesting stuff coming up with a certain kind of steel, which is all I can say so far. But they are very, very cool, and they offer a lot of value for money, really. So obviously Panerai inspired, there is no denying that, with the case shape and the design. Just a really cool watch. Now this one has a very vibrant green dial, and this is the M78 Middle East edition, so it's a special edition for the Middle East. I have one brand new, so this isn't the one that's for sale. This is the one that I get to enjoy whilst I sell the other one, which is brand new, still stickered, comes with both strap options, which is the leather and the rubber. And it's just a really cool watch. Beating away inside is the STP-1-11, which is basically like a Solita SW200 or an ETA, a lot of interchangeable parts. Really cool black strap with the green stitching, big Loom Tech buckle, and I'll show you on wrist. It's not a small watch, but it wears quite well. How you doing, Watch Collecting Strategy? Hope you're well. Everyone, if you're not already subscribed to him, make sure you do. He does very, very good videos. And once this is all over, I'm going to be starting the YouTube channel up again properly, in talks with someone in regards to them kind of running it for me, but I'll still be the face and doing everything, so they'll edit and and do all that fun stuff, so I don't have to bother with all that, which is which is much easier. But I'll show you on wrist. Here's the Loom Tech. So 43 millimeters, only 10 millimeters thick, so it's not very, very thick at all. 51 millimeters lug to lug, so that's the dimension that is probably going to determine whether you can or cannot wear it. Now for me, this is right on the brink. I think any longer lug to lug, I don't think I'd be able to wear it. But it does wear very, very well, all considered, and it hugs the wrist. Really cool watch. So there it is. Jonathan says, Japanese caliber, not so serviceable compared to Swiss interchangeable caliber, only in my experience. Yeah, and there are guys out there who dedicate just to servicing Japanese watches. I think it's also a case of how many you do of each watch, you know, and how much experience you've got servicing each piece. So there are the affordable watches that I've just shown you. So I've shown you a couple of my own personal collection because, again, as I said earlier, I collect within that sub £1,000 price range for the most part. I have owned watches over that, you know, Omega Speedmasters and Tudors and different things, but for the most part, my personal collection usually is under £1,000. Sorry, just having a swig of the Red Bull. And then we've looked at a couple of pieces that I've not shown on the live stream yet. The EC Anderson North Sea, very interesting micro brand. The Orient 3-star, which I'm surprised I still have actually. I don't think you'll find a better one out there. I think that's probably very safe to say, especially considering the new old stock condition, pretty much. We showed the Loom Tech, again another brand I get asked about fairly often because they offer a lot of really cool offerings, especially for the price. So I've shown you those. I've shown every other watch you see on screen at least once, but let's go through a couple. And again, if any of you guys want to ask any questions, go ahead. More than happy to answer them. Everything you see on table is currently under £1,000. There are a couple of pieces which could potentially go over £1,000, like my personal Zenith, which we're seeing a couple already being offered over £1,000. So we'll have to just wait and see where that goes. I'm going to show you a piece in the box which I think is probably my most surprising piece that's under £1,000 in my opinion. And again, these are just my opinions. Jonathan says, any full set Loom Tech on the way? Right now, I don't have any other Loom Techs coming in, but I do have a contact in Loom Tech. So if anyone does want a specific Loom Tech, not the M78 that I have here, they can get in contact with me if they're in the UK, and I can get them in for them to purchase. So sort of avoids a lot of the hassle of having to order from them directly. I'm not an authorized dealer for them, but I am authorized to sign the guarantees for any watches sold through me and honor the warranty sort of through me, but it will go through them, if that makes sense. So I'm basically like a retailer for them, but not an official retailer and not stocking, you know, hundreds. But that's an option I can offer to people. But yeah, I like the 7 Friday just because it's so wacky. Yeah, we'll move on to that one in a second. But let me show you the piece that I think is the most surprising for under £1,000. So this is the Eterna KonTiki 4 hands full black. So when you look at it, a lot of people immediately think it's a GMT. This isn't a GMT. This is a date complication on the sensor, but it does give the illusion of a GMT, especially with it being red and everything like that. But the fact that you get a full black Eterna for under £1,000 as a full set as well, I will add, is pretty crazy in my opinion, because there's a lot of value for money here. We'll cover a few of the aspects. So being away inside this was a bit surprising to me. It's not a bad movement at all. It's just I thought it'd be an ETA, but it's a Sellita SW200-1. Now those most of the components in that are interchangeable with the ETA 2824. So it's not a bad movement at all. But I just thought it'd be an ETA, being that it is an Eterna. The strap on this is really, really nice. You've got leather with a rubber outer lay and a rubber inlay on the inside. So that means the strap is going to last a lot longer. Very, very cool. Watch Collection Strategy says, maybe if you can make these later in the day, you can catch more US viewers. It's 8 AM here in Florida, and I think 5 AM in Cali areas. Yeah, it's a tough time really to determine when's best to do these, but I will try some later ones down the road. Another thing is also natural light. Right now I'm using my window as natural light, and because of the limited resources I don't have alternative light sources at the moment to hand, so it would definitely be artificial light, like a room light, which isn't very good for this kind of stuff, but we'll see what we can experiment with and see what we can do. Thank you for the suggestion, appreciate it. But yeah, as we were saying, really cool watch. This is 42mm in case size, 50mm lug to lug. You've got 14mm thick and a 22mm lug width. So again, quite a big lug width for a 42mm watch, but it doesn't look out of place at all. As I said, this does come with box and papers, and I'll just give you for reference what it is on the website right now. It's £800. So as I said, under £1,000 you can get an Eterna with full box and papers, all black. So it's stainless steel with a black coating, and it just looks awesome. This is probably the most surprising deal on the table right now, in my personal opinion. The fact that you can get a Eterna for under £1,000 as a full set, quite a bit under £1,000, especially compared to its retail price. I just think it's a really good offer. So that's my surprising pick of the bunch, and we're going to move on to a couple of other pieces on the table. Hope you're all doing well during this lockdown and everyone's keeping sane. I know I'm trying to. I think we're all doing our best. So as long as everyone's staying inside, that's what matters. So that's the most surprising deal on the table, in my opinion. Let's move on to the wackiest one, the one that John mentioned, the 7 Friday. So here we go. Jonathan says, well, I guess people are indoors, so maybe more potential viewers. Yeah, I definitely will give it a go. I just need to figure out the lighting situation. We'll have to see. I will try a later stream tomorrow, maybe around 6ish, and we'll see what happens. Also, around this time is when I've got the most energy, especially recently. So we'll see. But here we go, the 7 Friday. So definitely the funkiest watch on the table, and the most polarizing and the most Marmite, which is the saying we have here in the UK, which is either you love it or you hate it. So this is the 7 Friday P1-03. It's called the Industrial Essence Orange, and I wonder why. It is one funky watch. So the case is made of silicon around here, which is basically a rubber. You have stainless steel and PVD coating. So it is one mashup of materials, one cool looking watch, one funky piece, and one that not everyone will like at all. So this one inside is a Miyota 82S7, and dimensions wise it's 47 by 47 because it's a perfect sort of square with rounded edges, so more of a cushion. 13mm thick and a lug width of 27mm. So definitely not a small lug width, but a funky watch nonetheless, and I'll show you on wrist. So these watches usually are under £1,000 as a full set, usually around £800 to £900 online as far as I can tell. Right now we have this one at £430 because it doesn't have its box or papers, but here it is. So on wrist it does wear surprisingly well when you think of the dimensions. It is not a small watch, don't get me wrong, and it isn't an under the radar watch. So if you're looking for something very, very subtle that you can go out with a suit, this probably isn't for you. But if you're looking for a fun piece that just screams and shouts, you know, an alternative to a funky swatch or something, I think this is a cool option. Especially when you consider what you get. You know, it's not the kind of thing you can go out and find, and you're probably not going to see many people out there with it. And if you did, it's probably a talking point as to why you both have 7 Fridays. Another interesting brand in a similar vein to 7 Fridays, Dietrich. I've had their OT3, which is Organic Time 3. Again, another cool watch with this kind of concept and this kind of style. It seemed to have been a thing around the 2000s, 2010s, early 2010s, that brands were coming out with these wacky watches. I think it was around that era anyway, I could be wrong. So a really cool option for under £500. Let's look at another one, which is surprising and I just think really cool. So everyone knows I'm a big fan of the Seiko Turtles. As I was saying earlier, I do have another one on the way, which will be either for sale maybe in a few months or maybe even longer, we'll see. But I just think Seiko Turtles offer a lot of value for money. We've got one over here, I've got another one over here. I think I'm going to become the Seiko Turtle guy. But this one right here is the Seiko Pro Specs Black Ninja, as it's nicknamed. So really cool. One of probably the most collectible turtles at the moment, along with a couple of other variants in a similar vein. The reference to this one is the SRPC 49. You have a stainless steel black PVD coated case with the black on the bezel with the grey. And you have a sort of orangey hue to the loom. Let me see if I can get that. Which again contrasts really nicely against the black and the black of the dial. A bright orange hand, which again is for legibility when diving. If you was to actually dive with this, it's on a black rubber strap, matching black buckles and things like that. This one is a full box and papers, and again 45mm case size, 48mm lug to lug, so it makes it wear very, very well, and I'll show you on wrist. Now personally, I'm not a big fan of the rubber straps. I think they wear a bit too long for me personally, but I do have a 6 3/4 inch wrist, which is probably a little bit smaller than average wrist size. So if you've got a larger wrist than that, you should be fine. I mean, even with my wrist size, it's okay, but I just find them a bit long, a bit unnecessarily long. But there it is. Really cool watch, very stealthy. Seiko do offer a few black watches. I know John has the other variants, the Save the Ocean all black, which is a similar dial to this. Really cool watch. Great value for money. And there it is. Sway says, love the Ninja, great to use when doing hit jobs. Exactly. No one will see you coming, which will be the next watch we talk about, because no one will see you coming, and you probably also won't be able to tell the time. But it looks cool, and that's the main thing. So you can probably tell which watch I'm talking about. I spoke about it in one of the last streams. It's the Unimatic. So this is the second Unimatic I had. The first one sold very, very quickly, and this one is limited to just 50 pieces. This is the Unimatic U1-C. It's limited for the Italian retailer. What they called? It's on the strap. Hold on, give me a second. Cannot remember the name of the retailer for the life of me. Collect, right there. So limited to just 50 pieces. So a true limited edition, not one of those Amiga limited editions of 8 million pieces or anything like that. Inside beating away is the 4R35, and you have an all black dial, black hands, black loom, black case, black bezel, black everything. Everything's black. And in most lights, I'll be very honest, it is quite hard to tell the time. But this is one of those pieces which has really pushed the boundaries with why you wear a watch. Do you wear it to tell the time, or do you wear it to be a statement, to be fashionable, to be something along those lines? Because this is definitely bordering on that line. It's pretty cool. Great to use when doing hit jobs. Yep, John says, yes, you convinced me to buy 2. Yes, you have 2 Seiko Turtles. We're going to get you to have more. I love the brand at the moment, doing some cool stuff. Unimatic, yeah, they really are. I think they're a very cool brand, and I think they're going to go far. And I think we're going to see many cool things, and I hope they survive this well and strong and come out of it with some really cool updated things. But I'll show you this one on wrist. It's 41mm case size with a 49mm lug to lug, so quite a long lug to lug comparative to the case size. 13.5mm thick. That's not including the rubber NATO, which does add some thickness to it. And you've got 22mm lugs. So again, this is one of those watches where you have to like the design of the watch and want to wear it because you appreciate the brand and you appreciate the watch and you appreciate maybe the retailer or the design or something other than just telling the time, because the honest truth is it's very difficult to tell the time on. So there it is on wrist, and as I said, in most lights you can't really see the hands. So this is really Unimatic testing the boundaries of what people want with regards to design and just how important it is to tell the time. I mean, in an era where we do have time in our pockets at all times, you don't really need a watch to tell the time. But that being said, it's obviously very important to a lot of people. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a watch, so I understand. But yeah, cool watch nonetheless. William says, just catching up on a bit of work and getting distracted with watches. I mean, that is pretty much it. Luckily, watches is what I do for work, so I can get distracted by them, but it is a dangerous thing. I'm finding myself just scrolling through watch websites and looking at watches and just considering new pieces for the personal collection. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I should not be doing this. Best place to do that, however, is KibbleWatches. Sway says, as long as you dig the design, the Unimatic's a great alternative to the Turtle. Yeah, 100%. That's a really good point. So, here we go. So again, design-wise, of course, incredibly different. But in terms of concept and what they do, they're very, very similar. So a great option. That's a good point. So really cool watch that. Let's have a look. What else? We've nearly gone through all the watches on the table again. So let's go back vintage. Let's have a look at this. This is again another one that I recently showed on the stream, and I think it's a hell of a value. So all the watches on the table, as I said, under £1,000, either with me or you can find them online for under £1,000. This one is priced at £595, so just under £600. And what you get for that is a stainless steel vintage chronograph from the 1970s. This is a Dugina, I think that's how you pronounce it, tropical dial. So you have a really, really cool brown dial with orange highlights. And that's orange highlights on the tachymeter scale around the outside, as you can see. The hands, it's just an overall really great looking watch. Inside beating away in here is the Valjoux 7734. So again, a really good movement. And paired on this rally strap, I think it's just one hell of a looker, and I'll show you on wrist as well. And we'll talk about the dimensions. So you've got a 36mm case size, a 42mm lug to lug. So it wears incredibly compact on the wrist, and it reminds me a little bit of a much smaller Hoya Camaro, along those sort of lines. And there it is on wrist. What a great looking watch. And for under £600, I think in regards to vintage chronographs, it's probably one of the better deals out there that you can get right now. Unless you scour eBay and get lucky, of course, but again, there's all the risks involved with that. But if you are into your watches and you want to do that, go ahead. But this is for someone who wants to buy secure and wants something great. I mean, just look at it. Looks beautiful. Enzo says they recently released another collab with William Mazzina. That's a looker too. I'll have to check that one out. I probably did see it, but I will have to have a look again. I think what they're doing is really great, and I look forward to seeing what else they come out with. For sure. Same dial as Breitling Chronomatic Pull. Yeah. It's very similar dial to quite a few options out there. I think the Omega Bullhead has got this kind of layout as well, if I'm not mistaken. But cool watch, really cool watch. And again, under £600. I mean, where else are you going to find something like that? And the final one, again, quite surprised this is still here, is the Seiko Retrograde. Let's give it a wind. So, we spoke about this one in one of the other streams. You have your power reserve over there on the left. You have the day of the week over here on the right. And you have the date of the month down there at the bottom. You have really cool lugs with nice chamfered polished edges. Really cool polished and brushed case as well. And a white dial which looks lacquered in a lot of lights. It's not lacquered, but it definitely looks it. So the reference of this one is SARD009. Beating away inside is the 6R24 Retrograde, and it does have an exhibition case back for you to view that. So I will show that. Not the most nicely decorated movement in the world, but again, you don't really expect that with Seiko. It's got a nice pelage on the rotor, but just a cool watch nonetheless. And it actually has a very nice leather strap, which for anyone who knows Seiko, that is not something you usually hear, because it's one thing they usually do very, very poorly. The case size is 40mm by 47, so again, wears very, very well. I'll show you on wrist. 14mm thick with a 20mm lug width, so most of you guys and girls will have loads of straps at home that you can switch and swap. This on a brown would look incredible as well, especially because of that white dial. It's almost like an eggshell in person. It's not like a jet white. It's very, very nice. So let me show you this on wrist. And here it is. Just looks great. What a cool looking piece. Now, Retrograde, an underrated complication in my opinion. And the strap does fold the other way. So I got asked in the last stream why this was, and I did cover it, but I still got a few questions afterwards. The reason being, and again, I think it differs with each person you ask, but apparently in certain Asian cultures it's deemed an aggressive look when the strap points out towards the person you're communicating with. It's deemed sort of like an aggressive act. So it coming in on the inside is deemed a lot less aggressive and a bit more respectful. So that's why they do it. Seiko do it, Patek do it, Tudor do it. A lot of the brands have it folding the opposite way. It's not a big deal if you don't like it folding that way. You just swap the strap around. I mean, it's not a big deal at all. Beautiful watch that, says Spanish John. Thank you very much. Hope you're keeping well. Sway says, great strap pairing. I think he's talking about the Dagina. Yeah, I agree. I think it's just a really, really good pairing, good looking watch, and a great option. Great option. So as I said, all these on the table are under £1,000, whether that be through my website or elsewhere. Most of these you'll be able to find for under £1,000. And I think right now, and I said it at the start of the stream, it seems like most of you guys are spending within that kind of price range. All the sales over the weekend were watches sub £1,000. And I think for a lot of people spending a bit more than that, and again it is all relative of course, but spending a bit more than that during these times is a bit of a stretch for some people, whereas maybe spending a couple of hundred on a new watch isn't out of the picture. Again, it varies, it's relative, I understand, but that's why I wanted to show you a couple of options that you can have either elsewhere, like my own personal watches aren't for sale, so again you'd have to get those elsewhere, or some that we have on the website. And again, if you guys are looking for a particular piece, do let me know, do get in contact, keep an eye on the website and everything like that. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them in now, otherwise I think we'll probably call it an end. I've been enjoying doing these. Obviously it's not the easiest thing coming up with subjects pretty much every day and changing it up and showing different pieces. Luckily I've got a fairly large stock holding of watches to be able to sieve through, but you will see some reoccurring watches in each stream, so it will be relying on your guys' questions as we go further in this. Now the next few streams I'm going to try doing a little bit later was a suggestion by Watch Collecting Strategy, a good guy who has a really good YouTube channel, so be sure to check him out. I think it's a valid point. We'll try and get some more American viewers in here because it will be more of a doable time, and hopefully more viewers in general, because maybe it will be a time where not everyone's just waking up, which we will see. But guys and girls, I want to thank you all for joining me in this stream. It's been fun. We'll do it again. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. It really does help, and it just sort of it boosts my ego. There you go. But thank you all for joining. We'll do it again. Hopefully this week we'll have a live stream with John, because that seems to go really well. That will be on Instagram, so make sure you follow there. Do check out the website. As I said, any questions, shoot them over, and we will see you all in the next one. Take care, look after yourself, and wash your hands. Goodbye.